Good morning. My name is Jacob Folger and I'm an artist and a sculptor. And today we're going to make a fairy garden house and we're going to use a stone as the body of the house. Now before sculpting with polymer clay on a stone, you have to seal the stone. You can use all kinds of different products for that. Something clear, of course, if you want to see the natural stone underneath it. Basically, we just want to take the porosity away from it so that the polymer clay will stick to it better. I use a product called Golden's Mediums GAC 100. But again, you could use any acrylic product, or you could even use like varnish or polyurethane. You could use spray acrylic. If you use an acrylic product like this, it's going to dry a lot faster, but again, you can use just about anything to seal the stone, and that will make it a lot easier to receive the clay. Now, I'm using the clay I use. First of all, I oftentimes, and today also, sculpt in black clay, and the reason why is because the finishes I do really look nice going over the black. And I don't have to paint it black or anything like that. I can just go ahead and once I finish the sculpture, go ahead and do the finish on it without having to paint it. Now with polymer clay, you do need to knead it. You can see I'm kneading it here, and that just gets everything mixed up properly, and it also makes it a lot more pliable and easier to work with. And I also am I'm working with Sculpt 3. It's the brand I recommend because I've been using it for a good while, and it works really well, and it's easy to work with, and seems to be the best clay, polymer clay that I have found. Now we're going to get started on doing the door frame for the fairy house. So I'm rolling the clay into a ball, and rolling the clay into a ball is a good starting point, but it also, if you roll it enough, it takes away any kind of imperfections and that sort of thing in the ball, and then when you go to apply it to the door, it's it looks better. So this is a little bit big here. I'm probably going to slim that down a little bit, roll it again, and then I'm going to start rolling it to and fro to create a noodle like this. And I want that noodle to be as uniform as possible. You can roll it on the table, but I'm pretty much used to rolling it between the palms of my hands. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to lay it on the door, on the stone, and just kind of press it into the stone like that. And that's creating the door frame, basically. And this creation that we're doing today is going to be, it's going to include a garden sculpted with the polymer clay, and so there's going to be moss laid in here, so I don't really want the door down to the bottom because I don't want the moss covering the base of the door. I'm just going to trim this off here like that, and then I can take that little bit of clay also with some more, roll a noodle, and roll a noodle about like this, and just lay that on to be the base or step of the door. The first step, or bottom of the door jamb. I'm not sure what the terminology is, but you can see what I'm doing there. And I'm just going to blend it in at the bottom of the stone here with my thumb, like that, just to make it more sturdy to the stone. So you can see it's really sitting up, maybe 5 or 6/8 of an inch above the base or the board that I'm working on. And now I'm going to take a little bit of clay, and I'm going to put it inside that door frame there. And this is going to be the door itself. And then I'm just going to take this wood sculpting tool, and I'm just going to kind of move it over into the corners, and then like this. There we go. And so now there's something that we can work on, you know, to actually sculpt the door and make it look like a door. If you had just the stone, you wouldn't really be able to do that. Short of carving the stone, probably would make a lot of sense. So, you know, I'm just kind of making it fairly uniform. And now I'm going to take another sculpting tool. This one is just a different shape, but the main thing is the point is a little bit better. And to me, when I'm visualizing a door, especially a ferry door, I'm visualizing planks going up and down. So I'm just going to carve in little planks like that. And now I'm going to take a very small piece of clay and roll a ball. I want it really small, so it'd be like that. You can see that it's really small. I'm just going to drop it here on the door like that. I'm going to roll it into the place where I want it for a doorknob, and then I'm going to press it into place. And so we got the door pretty much done. Now we're going to create a window. So we're going to start off with a piece of clay, roll a ball, starting off rolling a ball, and then we're going to roll a noodle. And I'm just trying to make it as thin as possible, pretty thin anyways, and I want it to be fairly uniform. But see how this part goes down and gets really skinny right here? I'm just going to cut it off there. And then I'm going to lay it on here. I want the window to be like a little circle. Okay. Kind of like that. You get it sort of in place, and then you can you know, press it into place, and you can also move it around. If you don't press too hard, you get it almost to where you want it. And then I'm just blending the two ends together. This particular tool comes in handy. I've had these tools for many years, but you know, I've seen them in the stores, even these shapes. So you still can get these shapes, and if you just pay attention to the shapes I've got here, you know, you can get tools that look like them. So I'm just sort of kind of stretching it out a little bit, kind of getting it to a nice round shape. And then what we can do is we can take a noodle of clay, start off with a ball, roll it into a noodle, and lay it in there at the center. blend it into the round part. And when I say blending, I'm basically just blending it with my thumb, so that that's like that. And then we can roll another little noodle and put it in here. And then another for the other side. And there you got, basically the appearance of a window. And you can sculpt it in better, smooth it out, straighten the boards by just using a tool like this. You could use this end might work better, depends on how much space you have. And just try to make it fairly uniform. And then we got the basic part of the house. Now what I'm going to do is, I think it would be really cool if we had a tree kind of going up here along the side here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start with a mound of clay so that the tree is standing kind of above it. I'm going to press this in to the stone, kind of blending it. You don't want to like blend it too much, because then the black clay would mess up the stone. You don't want to do that, but you definitely want to press it in good and solid like that. And that will also help the stone stand up by itself, because otherwise this stone, as you can see, would fall over. So we do that. And now take a good sized chunk of clay like this. Roll it into a ball, as we always do. Roll it into a ball. And then roll it into a noodle, but try to keep the base of it bigger than near the top. Okay. And now what you can do is you can also, you can take a pair of scissors. If you've seen some of my videos where I make trees, I do this a lot. You can just clip it like this, which would give you basically 3 roots, at least something to start with. And also, if you clip the top here, that would give you 3 branches. And if at the top here you took a small bit of clay, it might be a good idea just to knead it a little bit if it's a little stiff, just so it'll form better, and just lay it in here at the top where the branches are there, and blend it into the branches. And the reason why you do that is because it will strengthen the branches, because sometimes cutting them like that, I'm going to use a tool and just blend this here because it's hard to get to my fingers in there. So when you cut it with the scissors, sometimes it will just leave the branches kind of weak. That's why I do that. Use that little piece of clay in there. So I just want the branches to be small like that. I'm gonna when we get this done, I'm gonna put moss up there for the foliage of the tree. You'll have to water the moss a lot, but if you love plants and you like caring for them, then it's probably not going to bother you too much. Okay, and so then I'm just going to set this here. I'm going to have that root come down that way. And I'm going to bring it out a little bit like this, and then I'm going to curve it inwards so that when the moss is on it, it's going to kind of be overhanging the house a little bit. Okay, so we're sort of getting there. Now I think I'm going to start the base, or the garden itself. And again, you know, if your clay is a little stiff, you can knead it a little bit. And what I'm going to do, let's see, push this back a little bit. Well, I'll probably work on that tree a little bit more before the end of the day. So we're gonna, this is gonna be for the surround. So it's gonna be like a little wall that holds the moss. And I'm just rolling it like this to create a noodle. So something like that. I'm gonna just kind of flatten it a little bit, which will make it a little bit longer too. I mean, you could make this any length you want. The nice thing about this is that it's all like, you know, kind of part of the house. It's part of everything. So it's kind of neat. And so I'm going to, you know, bring it into the stone and press it in the back here. And then I'm going to bring it into the mound where I put the tree and blend that in. And then I'm going to take some clay, and I'm just going to lay it in on the bottom to give it a bottom, basically. And that will be the floor of the garden. And that, you know, you do probably want it to be fairly uniform. There we go. Just filling it in. This is going to be really cute. So once you get it in there, you can smooth it out. You can press it down with your finger or your thumb, and that will, you know, make it more, you know, flat and uniform. You can take a tool like this and you know, sculpt in and get it to join good to the wall portion. See, the whole set fell down. Okay, so we got this here, and just get it properly joined. I know we're out of the camera view right now, but I'm just going to go ahead and finish it up there. There we go. Move this back. There we are. Okay. So we got the surround, and you can just just try to make it uniform as possible. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a little door in this tree here. I'm just using this tool and I'm pushing in. You could also use like a paintbrush or something like that. I just think it would be cool to have like a little fairy door up there. And I think even, I probably won't define that too much. I probably won't do like much on the door itself. I'm going to take a paintbrush and I'm just going to put a hole right here for another window. And then I'm going to take a little bit of clay here and make little circles, sort of flat circles like that. And I'm going to put in stairs. I'm going to make stairs. Just make them all about the same size, and I'm just going to have it kind of wrapping around, coming down. Like that. It's really not hard to do this. You're going to find it's fairly easy. It does take some practice, so maybe yours won't look exactly like mine. Keeping in mind that I do this, on a regular basis, sculpting and making things. But practice makes perfect. It's true. If this is true. If you, practice, you will get better at it. So I'm kind of, using the stone to kind of support down here. You also could take a bit of clay and put it, underneath to support it. Let's put this last one under here. And it does look a little bit, almost topsy-turvy, like the typical fairy house stairway would look. But I'm gonna just try to straighten it up a little bit. I'm just gonna cut this in here and also here. But I really actually kind of like that, that fairy stairs looking thing, where it's not, it's a little bit haphazard. I kind of like it. And sometimes it's not so easy to sculpt stuff like that. Another thing you can do is you can take, I was just going to touch on that real quick. It's difficult sometimes to sculpt something that is not the way you would think it would be, and sculpting fairy houses to be haphazard takes some work. I mean, you'd think it'd be easy, but it really isn't. So sometimes, if a stairway turns out like that, it actually can be a good thing. Now, the other thing I do here is roll a ball and then a noodle of clay like this, and that could be a root coming down that is acting as a railing for the stairs, or at least a side rail. Like that. And I really kind of like the way that looks. It looks cool. And like I say, it is difficult. This was almost by accident how that happened with the stairs, but I really like the way it turned out. Okay, The other thing I'd like to do is I would like to put on a chimney. Let's put a chimney on this thing. So I'm going to do roll a ball as usual, and then roll a noodle of clay. And then I'm just going to put it on top here. Like that. And so it's kind of, in a way, haphazard. I mean, it's leaning off to the left there. And then I'll take my paintbrush and put a little hole in the top. Like that. And there we go. It's really, really coming around. It looks pretty good. Okay, so then I think next would be the finish. Okay, so we're going to get ready to do the finish, but before we do, we want to go ahead and go around the sculpture, and you know, any marks that you don't want there, you can blend out. I noticed that this isn't properly blended here the way I would like, so I'm going to blend that. And just smooth it out where you want to. If you want to add any last details, you would do that at this time. You can also use alcohol in the paintbrush to get out fingerprints and imperfections that way as well. And so it's looking pretty good. Okay, now we're going to go ahead and do the finish, and I'm going to show you how to do that. So I'm using a product called Pearl X Pigments. These are metallic, but they look really nice. They're really nice. It's a nice product, and it's a powder. And the way to do this is to put a little bit in the lid like that, and then take a small paintbrush and dip it into it, and then pat it like on the table or you know, a cloth or something like that, and then just brush it on. So I'm doing it on the door of the tree, and get a little bit more, and I'm doing it on the door, the fairy house, the door of the main house, like that. And then you can wipe it off on like a rag or something. I have a rag in my lap, so I'm doing that right now. This here is pewter. There's already some in the lid, so I'm just going to get a little bit of it and pour it on the doorknob. And I think I'm going to put it on the stairs also. No, I'm kind of looking for an antique-y, you know, aged look. I'm not looking to make it all bright and shiny, but you certainly could just brush on more to do that. And I think also I'll put it on the chimney. Like that. And then I'm going to wipe it off again. This, by the way, this color is silver, and the purple is actually reflex violet. Okay, and I'll put the names of those on the information portion of the on the video, beyond the video itself. Now I'm going to use antique bronze. I just really love this particular finish, this particular product. I've been using it for many years. It's a signature finish of mine. I really like it a lot. It's best, however, if you can put it on with a finger, but since this piece is so small and kind of hard to get to, I'm going to do it with a brush. But I'm going to show you how to do it with a finger if you can do it. You get it into the material, into the bronze. You swirl it on your finger, and you just put it on like that. It just looks better for some reason if it's put on like this. But like I say, you know, it's kind of hard to get to. Let me see. Maybe I can get it on there. Okay. And then on the door, yeah, I'm gonna use a brush for that because it's just really hard to get to, but it still looks pretty good. Now you can do the floor of the garden if you want, but you don't really have to because it's going to be covered with moss. I'm going to get the outside of the wall though. Like that. And I'm going to get the tree. Yeah, I mean, it's looking real nice actually. Ooh, look at that! Isn't that nice? It's really a pretty color. This is again antique bronze by Pearlite's Pigments. Yeah. Okay. So that's basically the finish, and you know, you can go around, touch up wherever necessary. Now let's talk about baking. So you would bake this for the way it is with the Sculpting 3 now. That's what we're working with here. So if you're using a different product, a different polymer clay, it might be a different cooking time. But for Sculpting 3 polymer clay, the cooking time and temperature is 275 degrees. Preheated household oven for 15 minutes per 1/4 inch of mass. And what that means is you go to the thickest portion of the piece, whatever it may be, the base of the tree here or something like that. You figure out how thick it is, and then you bake it for 15 minutes per 1/4 inch. So something like this tree, probably, this sculpture would be about an hour. Although I wouldn't quote me on that. I would go ahead and do your calculations because you're cooking something different than mine. You know, obviously your pieces can be different than mine. So that's basically how you cook it. When you're letting it cool, I will let you know that the stone itself will take a much longer to cool than the rest of the sculpture. It could take a while. In fact, I've waited an hour for it to cool enough to where I could handle it in some of the pieces I'm doing. As far as, you know, worrying, some people are concerned about whether or not the stone would break up or, you know, crack or something like that. Highly unlikely. The reason why is because the oven just does not get hot enough to do that. And I've been doing this for a good long time. I've done all kinds of things, seashells and stones and even pieces of wood, and I have never had any kind of problem like that. So, you know, where I'm sculpting polymer clay with earth elements, and I do it a lot. So it's really something probably you don't have to worry about. Okay, let's get going with the moss. Okay, so we're back with the moss, and we're going to go ahead and start laying it in, putting it down. While I was getting the moss ready, I made a few pieces that I thought might come in handy. I think this one here might go on for the roof. maybe use some adjustment. Again, you know, watering this is going to be probably a chore. Again, if you don't want to spend a lot of time watering this, then you might want to use you know, preserved moss, or you know, because you know it's gonna be a chore. But some people love plants and they love watering and they love all that stuff. And if you're like that, then this would probably be good for you. And you want to keep it moist, so just keep that in mind. So, wow, I really like that. And this one here, this particular moss. Now this moss I get this moss from around my house, so it's like abundant. We have a lot of it around here. This moss is really neat because it has like long, you know, strands that come off of it, and it's really kind of cute. And this is, you know, almost looks like the wind is blowing it that way. It's kind of neat. But you do want to use low drought moss that grows on rocks and things like that, because, you know, obviously you're going to be watering it a lot anyways, and you don't want to water it more than you have to. Okay, so now I'm just tearing off pieces. And tearing off can be better than cutting. And the reason why is, see that and that? Well, that will be overhanging the wall. Yeah, that's nice. And then here you got a little bit. I want a little bit for in here, and it's, you know, overhanging the wall, which is really pretty neat. And then we got a little bit here. And it's okay to tear it like that. It's, you know, root. You know, moss doesn't have roots or anything like that, so it's not like you're gonna really hurt it. And there we go. So, wow, that's pretty cool. It's an easy project, I think. You know, if I were going to say, is this going to be something that a beginner could do? I would say a beginner could do this. You know, like I say, practice makes perfect. It may take a little while for you to do this, or you may have to do it more than once to get decent at it. But it's really fun and relaxing. If you like this kind of content, please subscribe to my channel. I do a lot of videos along these lines. And please comment, and please give a thumbs up on the video. It really does matter. It really does matter if you give a thumbs up. I'd appreciate it if you would do that. Thank you so much for watching, and have a great day.